Good evening and welcome to News. I'm San Mataba. Coming up in tonight's edition of News, President Julius Maada Bio calls on Sierra Leoneans to protect the country's forest. The mayor of the Kenema City Council describes township roads in the city as swamps, and citizens complain about expensive internet in Sierra Leone. All the stories, including business, sports, and entertainment, are lined up tonight. Welcome to News. The mayor of Kenema City Council, Thomas Mbayo, has described the township roads in the city as swamps. Speaking to the SLBC, the Kenema mayor said roads in the municipality are in a deplorable condition. Maya Masuma reports.
This is Kenema, the regional headquarters of Eastern Sierra Leone. This place was envy to other areas in the country because it was an economic hub of the East and known for reliable electricity supply and good educational facilities. Kenema is one of the well-planned towns in the country, but has been neglected by successive governments for far too long. These are roads in a city in this 21st century. Potholes are all over the place. Motorists and pedestrians here are going through hell plying on these. Some people are even now contemplating as to whether this place should be called a city or not. Thomas Karimu Bandabara Mbayo is the mayor of the municipality. He said the situation is becoming unbearable as for long now they have been making frantic efforts by drawing attention of authorities to be sensitive to their plight.
It is not only leading to setback in the township, but also agricultural activities not going, business not going, everything is just a setback for Kenema Township. Because when you think of road network, it's a sign of every sector. When you come to the business area, the road serves as a means for business. When you come to educational services, the road serves as a means. But we don't have all these facilities. The road, there is no road. We don't have even a decent road in Kenema. The only prayer we'll be having before this time, the hangar road that is on course, is also not a blessing for us.
Some youth who are engaged in business at the market areas also expressed their concern.
It pains riding bike here as the potholes are obstacle they have to go through every day. We spend a lot of money on painkiller drugs. It is very difficult for us. We appreciate the mayor as he is taking some move to do some tentative rehabilitation work. Our roads are very bad here in Kenema. For a short distance, a lot of time is consumed within the city. We are almost always in the garage with our tricycle. We want immediate action by the government.
The mayor, as a way to remedy the situation, has embarked on filling potholes as a temporary measures as they wait on government for proper road work within the city.
Citizens in Sierra Leone say that using internet services is very expensive. They said the internet service providers are not doing justice to what they are spending to get such services. Our own Daphne Kemama has been looking at how Sierra Leoneans have been struggling to get quality internet service.
The internet is one of the fastest means of getting information around the world. Using the internet in Sierra Leone has been viewed by many as a big challenge in terms of quality and cost.
Well, the internet business as alone right now
Well, the internet in Sierra Leone right now is the worst compared to the past. If I buy 75 megabytes and put my data on, between 1 and 2 minutes of browsing and put my data off, if I put it on again, the network will notify me that my data is finished.
The internet in Sierra Leone is not too good in terms of megabytes usage. For example, yesterday I bought 90 megabytes for 2,500 leones and I used Africell. It did not take 2 days. I only used it for just browsing for football scores.
The Sierra Leone Cable Network came into existence in 2010 by an Act of Parliament, but started full operations in 2012. They distribute and sell megabytes to the internet service providers at a cost between $25 and $30 per byte. According to the commercial manager, Sierra Leone Cable Network, Salcab Saluman Sare, they decided in 2016 to reduce the cost of megabytes so that the internet can be affordable to customers.
Pre the landing of the fiber, pre the operational point of the fiber, prices in Sierra Leone in terms of satellite bandwidth that was being utilized by most companies was between $2,500 to $5,800, some paying as high as $8,000. And since then, the price has been coming down dramatically to a point where today we have dropped the price at Salcab that we sell wholesale to the mobile networks as well as to the internet service providers. We price between $25 and $30. That is a drop of over 99% if you look at some of the prices that some of them were paying.
The National Telecommunications Company is the regulatory body for mobile service providers and mediators between the internet service providers and the customers. What has been the intervention of NATCOM to address the concerns of customers? Abdul Koyate is the Director, Customer and Corporate Affairs of the National Telecommunications Company.
NATCOM, we have a mandate to regulate the ICT sector here, and this means television, this means radio, this means mobile network operators in the country, this means internet service providers in the country, this means protecting the consumers themselves. Well, first of all, the word reasonable has an elastic definition and interpretation. Of course, we always seek to make sure that services are affordable. And mind you, we are not providing the services. We are regulating the service providers. So we always try to pin them down to make sure that services are not only affordable, but are also, all over the place.
Diachem is one of the leading internet service providers to homes and offices. Pastor Isaac Jones is the managing director of Diachem. He said after realizing that Salcab reduced the cost of data, they also reduced theirs.
So we in turn, coupled up with a balance in other overheads, especially operational overheads, we looked and see how we could come up with a pricing structure to have especially our home users and our ordinary Wi-Fi users to have affordable internet. And we're looking at price drops to as low as 40%, in the existing, in the former pricing. The existing pricing would have dropped about 40%. So this is the news that we have.
It could be recalled that last year Orange and Africell were fined for bad network. It is expected by Sierra Leoneans that by now NATCOM would have fined some of these internet service providers for what they call exploitation. For SLBC News, Daphne Kenema reporting.
The Canadian Minister of International Development, Honorable Marie-Claude Bibois, has assured President Bio of her country's full support to the free education program. She said that the government has been supporting Sierra Leone in the areas of education, health, and women's empowerment. Mike Rod Bibwa gave the assurance during a courtesy call on the president at State House. Hawamusiri reports.
As the government prepares to launch the free education policy next week, more donors are making efforts to support the flagship program. Since this pronouncement after his election as President Bio has been discussing this initiative with various donors and other partners to see how they can support for successful implementation. The call by President Bio for international support for the implementation of the free education policy has been received by international partners as a good move by this new government. The visit and commitment by the Canadian International Development Minister Maria Cleo Bidieu is being seen as an assurance of more support for Canada. She disclosed that over the years, Canada has been supporting Sierra Leone in various sectors, including education. She commended President Julius Maada Bio for his resolve to provide quality education to every Sierra Leonean, as well as his commitment to improving other sectors in governance.
I'm happy to be here and to see from my own eyes and how we can be even closer friends, and we can be supporting you the best we can, because you know Canada is very engaged in multilateralism, and I understand that most of the support we provide you through in different sectors is going through the multilateral initiatives such as the Global Partnership for Education, obviously.
President Bio noted that the two countries have been enjoying bilateral and multilateral ties for many years, which he hopes to strengthen during his tenure. President Bio said that he has decided to make education his flagship because the new direction is highly motivated with the strong conviction that education is the key to development and prosperity.
We have placed on top of our list of priorities education. Education for several reasons, and they are so obvious, but sometimes we take them for granted. Yes, we see you are quite anxious to help us in this part of the world. So many activities have been directed to our countries, but without quality education, without a critical mass of people who are well educated, it is going to be extremely difficult to engage the process of development.
He told the Canadian envoy that government is pleased that the country has shown strong commitment to support the free education policy.
We have flagship education this government, so that we do not only prepare our country, but we want to be inclusive in the development, so that every child will have the opportunity to have the skills, to acquire the skills and knowledge needed to be competitive in this current world. So we have taken the challenge of providing free education for every child in this country, from primary school to secondary school.
The free education policy will be launched on Monday 20th August and will commence in September when schools reopen. SABC TV News Eye in Freetown, Hawamusiri reporting.
Meanwhile, the Canadian Minister of Development held discussions with the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Dr. Ali Kaban. The visit is part of Canada's commitment to strengthen ties with Africa and to help address challenges it faces. The two ministers discussed ways to further strengthen the bilateral relations between the two countries. Hannah Tukonte reports.
I have the honor of presenting to you Canada's Minister for International Development, the Honourable Marie-Claude Bibeau.
The Canadian minister was accompanied by the Canadian High Commissioner to Sierra Leone, Hita Ani Cameroon. Dr. Ali Kaba, Minister of Foreign Affairs, underscored the significance of the visit of the Canadian Minister of International Development and team to his ministry, aimed at broadening and deepening existing bilateral relations between the two countries. Dr. Kaba lauded the contributions of the Canadian government in enhancing humanitarian assistance, health and peace building in the country. He further dilated on the long-standing bilateral relations between Canada and Sierra Leone since 1961.
Anyways, I want you to know that the support from Canada means a lot to us. We are looking forward to deepening our bilateral relations with Canada in very specific ways. As you go around the country, you see the real impact. Sometimes when they are removed thousands of miles from reality, you think the project are all about some paperwork, but it's really about people. And you can touch those people here. You can see the smile in their faces because of the service delivery that comes out of our bilateral ties.
Dr. Kaba expressed thanks and appreciation to the Canadian government for their support and assistance over the years, especially during Ebola outbreak.
Canada is very committed into these initiatives. We're investing $50 million a year in this. I think it's a good way to support your priorities, as it is as well in the health sector with the Global Fund and the PIB and the Global Financing Facility.
Honorable Marie-Claude Bibois said her visit was to further strengthen the bilateral cooperation between the two countries and to meet with government functionaries, women's leaders and development partners to discuss common priorities such as advancing the rights of women and girls, including sexual and reproductive health rights, sustainable and inclusive development, peace and security. The government of Sierra Leone has launched the preparation of the country's next national development plan, which is the Poverty Reduction Strategy Paper 4. The agenda for prosperity will end in December this year. According to the Minister of Planning and Economic Development, Nabila Tunis, the plan will focus on 8 policy clusters, of which education for development is a flagship policy cluster. As Ibrahim Summer reports, government has provided 1.9 billion loans as initial funding for development of the plan.
Upon completion, the National Development Plan, which will be referred to as the PRSP4, will serve as the country's development blueprint and will focus on 8 policy clusters. The 8 clusters were derived from a background research drawn from the government's new direction and President Bio's State Opening of Parliament policy statements. At a meeting with journalists, the Minister of Planning and Economic Development, Nabila Tunis, said the preparation for the new plan is coordinated by her ministry and the Finance Ministry. She said the new plan will be linked to the African Union Agenda 2063, the UN 2030 Agenda, and the Sustainable Development Goals, adding that 8 policy clusters have been conceived.
The first cluster is the Education for Development cluster, which is the government's flagship program. Followed by that, cluster 2 is the Other Human Development cluster, under which we have health, water and other human development issues. The third cluster is Transforming the Economy. The fourth cluster is Governance and Accountability for Results. The fifth cluster is Infrastructure and Economic Competitiveness. The 6th cluster is Women and Children's Issues. The 7th cluster is Addressing Vulnerabilities and Building Resilience, under which we have Climate Change and Disaster Management Issues.
Madam Tunis said effective consultations with line ministries, departments and agencies, development partners and civil society organizations have begun and will intensify. The Minister of Finance, Jacob Jesus Safa, assured of government's unflinching commitment to the process, informing journalists that his ministry will be responsible for the macro and the poverty reduction aspects in the plan.
I'm pleased to report that at this stage, the entire process is funded by government. That's what shows ownership. I mean, for all the district consultations, all the necessary stuff, the preparations, up to a stage, government is going to spend about roughly 1.9 billion. You may think it's a lot of money, but small money when you consider teams that will be sent out, consultation that will be done at the rural district level, town meetings, focus group that will be held in those places.
The finance minister underscored the pivotal role of the media, calling on them to take the lead in the process. Teams will be sent across the country for national consultation meetings with citizens, and their input will be put into the plan to have a national character. Ibrahim Samora, Freetown.
The proprietor of the Sayo Elementary Community School at Regent Sayo County has told the SLBC that the decision by the Western Area District Council to confiscate the school building as council office is not in the best interest of the children. The council claims that the said building, which the school was built, belongs to them and that the proprietor was mayor's quarter on the said property. Our own Sir Samora went to find out about the fate of the school ahead of the reopening of schools in September.
Next academic year starts September the 17th this year, when all government and government-assisted schools will be introduced to the first ever free education in Sierra Leone. One of the schools operating in the rural mountain district, Sayo Elementary Community School, on June 17, 2018, was removed from its premises and became the Rural Mountain District Council office. The school was forced to relocate to a makeshift building following a decision by the administration of the Western Area Rural District Council to take over the building from the school. The main claim by the council is that the structure was built for use by the Rural Mountain District Council. One of the initiators of the project of establishing the building as a community center, Edward Caesar, says it was not clear whether the supposed owner of the piece of land did release it to the community on freehold. He said the owner, Arthur Potter, did sit with him to discuss the issue of the said land on which the structure is built.
After some time, I was told that there is some sort of school in Nabini, who allows school to be operational in Nabini. They said the council, Mrs. Margaret. Yeah, Margaret, you find out. Then I started to ask questions.
Proprietor Sayo Conte expressed shock at what she described as the unexpected action of the council to remove the school and replace it with their office.
The people that came to remove the school did not notify me. If I were given notice, I could have put things in place. They caught me by surprise.
Meanwhile, mediation by the Commissioner of Assets and Government Property, Abu Mosire, has yielded dividend.
The issue that has to do with Sayo Elementary School, I think we've gone that far. We actually invited them here after we have report from the proprietor of the school. Later, we had a meeting here, but the council was not represented. Later, the chairman was here yesterday, and I spoke with him exclusively on the school and what they are using the school for presently as an office space. You can't compare an office space, a school being used as an office space. So I think we've decided.
The commissioner told SLBC that the makeshift structure, which is used as the Sayo Elementary Community School, will be demolished to allow recreational activities for the children. For SLBC News, Soriba Samura.
President Julius Maada Bio has said that mismanagement of the country's forests and forest resources in the past years has resulted in the flooding in urban and rural areas. He made a statement during this year's launch of the National Tea Planting Campaign at Okipich Wilberforce in Freetown. The theme for this year's tea planting is Plant Stick for Better Your Life. How must he reports?
In his address, President Julius Maada Bio said the state of the forest in the country deserves collective attention and that his government is committed to implement policies and practice that would support effective biodiversity management. He reiterated that his government will continue to be proactive by taking measures to prevent disasters. One of the deliberate preventive actions, we must continue to plant trees, which we do on the 5th of June every year. But having just one day tree planting day in the year is too inadequate to be impactful. To address this inadequacy, my government is launching the National Tree Planting Campaign in the months of August through to September, President Bio added.
During the commemoration of the twin disasters of August 14, 2017, I announced a series of measures to protect our reserve forest of the Sugarloaf Mountain. Let me reiterate that my government will continue to be proactive by taking measures to prevent disasters and not just to react to disasters.
Whilst acknowledging the efforts of the military in the tree planting exercise, President Bio noted the campaign to plant trees not just once a year, but an everyday practice for government, district, councils, local and traditional authorities. President Bio emphasized that individual families should also plant trees not only to protect the environment, but also serve as a source of revenue generation. The president encouraged the growing of economic trees like cashew, cocoa, for the National Tree Planting Campaign to create wealth for women, men, youth, and even our children.
I will also encourage the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry to set a target of the number of trees to be planted every year. Our government remains enthusiastic about the national and urban rural greening. Ladies and gentlemen, with great optimism, let me now formally launch the tree planting campaign. Let's roll up our sleeves and get to work and plant as many trees than we can destroy in a year.
Minister of Agriculture Joseph Joe Kenema said the situation of the forest was precarious because lots of human activities are carried out on the environment, such as mining, charcoal burning, among many others. Mr. Kenema stated that flooding, landslides, and mudslide were all as a result of rampant deforestation, which he added has placed the country on an environmental time bomb. He encouraged everyone to join the tree planting exercise so as to preserve the environment. According to the ministry, his team is committed to operationalize the vision of the new direction on food security and protecting the environment.
Planting trees only on World Environmental Day 5th June is not enough to keep pace with accelerated degeneration of our forest and environment. Even though we are few months in office, yet I have declared this extensive one-month tree planting campaign nationwide, beginning today, in a bid to seek permanent solutions to the alarming impact of increasingly occurring man-made and natural disasters the nation is experiencing in recent years.
Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations Country Representative Nandi Tsipo informed the gathering that forest is a livelihood for many in Sierra Leone, saying 90% of the population depend on the forest for cooking, fuel, not to mention other timber and non-timber products. Project manager of European Union, David Montisel, assured governments of their continued support to the Ministry of Agriculture, as his organization believes that trees can provide healthy environment for people. He said it is their responsibility to protect the remaining forest to prevent other disasters in the future, calling on citizens to join the campaign. Mayor of the Freetown City Council, Yvonne Akisaya, said The theme for this year's launching is appropriate, as 15% of the population is residing in Freetown, where most of the disasters occur. The Vice President, Dr. Mohamed Judah Jallo, and the First Lady, Fatima Bio, also participated in the Tree Plant Day campaign. SABC TV News Eye in Freetown, Hawa Mosue reporting.
As access to safe drinking water continues to pose a serious challenge for Greater Freetown, the government, with the Ministry of Water Resources and Development partners, are making strides to salvage the situation. In this regard, a local service provider, Engineers Without Borders, has provided 2 water facilities plus wash items to 2 deprived communities at Kaningo and Poti in the Western area. Ibrahim Summer reports.
On behalf of the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, retired Brigadier Julius Madabio, and the people of Sierra Leone and the Ministry, and I commissioned this water borehole in solar rectification open.
Kaningo and Poto are poverty-stricken communities that lack basic facilities such as water, good roads, and health facilities, among others. These 2 deprived communities were among the hard hit by the August 14th mudslide and flooding. The construction of the water systems by Engineers Without Borders, a humanitarian service provider, is part of the organization's response to affected communities by the twin disasters. The water systems will provide potable water for over 2,000 residents of Poto and Kaningo communities. Residents say the supply came at the right time as their children walk miles to fetch water. They said the water facilities will not only help to salvage the water problem in their communities, but will also limit the cases of early and unwanted pregnancies. The Member of Parliament of Constituency 123, Mohamed Tawakonte, and the Ward Councillor lauded the donors and Engineers Without Borders for such water projects. They said access to safe drinking water was among the needs of their people. They said the 2 communities suffered heavily from the August 14th twin disasters. Maury Mustafa is the admin officer, Engineers Without Borders. He said Poto and Kaningo are their first areas of intervention in Freetown, and that the move is part of the humanitarian support to deprived communities. He said they provided 2 solar water systems, toilets, and wash materials.
We provided this facility for Kaningo community. It is 1 borehole, power supply with the solar and with distributor system. The same goes to Poto community. 1 borehole which was drilled about 81 meters with solar powered system. We decided to provide these 2 communities with this facility because of the August 14 mudslide that happened in Sierra Leone.
The Minister of Water Resources, Dr. Jonathan Tengbe, said the 2 water systems fall under the ministry's short-term plan designed to take water to deprived communities. He called on the communities to take advantage of the facilities provided. Dr. Tengbe said access to safe drinking water for all is government's priority. He spoke of long-term plans to address water problem and that plans are underway to construct a state-of-the-art dam at Rokel River to supply Greater Freetown and its environs. The Castellating Roads Drilling Company did the construction. The 2 systems will be providing 25,000 liters of water each day, and a solar system is used to supply the water to the communities.
Partners in a Relief Development Sierra Leone PAD have trained over 2,000 farmers on crop best practices on farming production, nursery and plant management. Partners in the Relief Development Sierra Leone training entailed technical skills, wherein farmers demonstrated cultivational techniques. The project is funded by Italian citizens. Yvette Goldsmith reports.
20 years ago, since PAD Sierra Leone started training farmers in the northern region to source cashew nuts from smallholder farmers in Sierra Leone. This was the first time ever cashew experimental plot was established in Kamalo in Sandaloko Chiefdom in the Karine district. Cashew production and processing, the organization is working towards seeking to establish a cashew value chain to improve on its quality and increase income for rural farmers. In this cashew experimental site, hundreds of cashew seed varieties were planted on over 60 hectares of land provided by Slurry and the Ministry of Agriculture. The managing director of Partners in Relief Development, Mahmoud Bobo Kagbo, said supporting farmers with seeds is part of their activities so as to complement government efforts on agriculture and development. He said the project started in Makari village with 35 hectares of land demonstration plot of palm kernel nursery. The director said the expansion of the project follows the growing demand, value addition and marketing on cashew production. They secure more land to improve on the nursery and support farmers with cashew seeds. The organization has trained 2,000 farmers with women as the major beneficiaries, as farmers' livelihood is their focus for the next 5 years. 3 crops, they believe, are essential to mitigate deforestation in rural communities. Regional Coordinator for Partners in Relief Development, PAD Sierra Leone, Dennis Koroma, said the farmers were trained on nursery and plant management, agronomic practices, land preparation, vegetable production. PAD Sierra Leone has been training farmers in Kamalo in the Sandaloko Chiefdom on inland valley swamps, provide seed rice, education and wash facilities in the Sela Limba, Sandaloko, Banti, and Kamaranka chiefdoms. A farmer, Kadiatu Sise, appreciated the training, describing cashew cultivation management as paramount to the livelihood of deprived farmers who could not afford to buy certified seeds.
I
was born in a family who depends mainly on agriculture for food and economic earning. The 1-month training from PAD Sierra Leone was educative, and this is the first time I had acquired such knowledge. As a woman farmer, I hope to train more women if given the opportunity.
1 month.
Cashew trees were first introduced in West Africa for Indian in the early 1960s to fight desertification and soil erosion through agroforestry and to establish protected forest areas. The evergreen tropical tree can survive in difficult conditions, including sandy soil, and can grow up to 12 meters high, and it's highly recommended by environmentalists for afforestation programs. Yvette Goldsmith, Freetown.
The Executive Director of the Environment Protection Agency, the Executive Chairperson, of the Environment Protection Agency, Dr. Fode Moiba Jawad, has called on the hospitality industry to stop dumping their waste in an uncontrolled manner. Dr. Jawad was speaking at a stakeholders meeting organized by the Ministry of Tourism to discuss the EPA's environmental impact assessment license and fees. Joined by reports.
Because of the grumbling by members of the hospitality industry about the high fees levied against them by the Environment Protection Agency, this one-day stakeholders meeting was to discuss possible ways for the reduction of the EPA license fees. It is the expectation of those in the industry that an affordable tax can attract more people into the tourism sector. The Minister of Tourism, Emunatu Pratt, said the one-day stakeholders meeting is part of their rebranding effort to create an enabling environment for the hospitality industry. She said over the years they have come to realize challenges facing the tourism sector, adding that plans are underway to address obstacles facing them. She said that the government is on the forefront in changing the image of the tourism sector by encouraging more investors to come.
We look at
the very challenging problems in the industry. Because coming back and then doing a retrospective review of what has gone on over the decades since independence, we all who attest to the fact that the tourism industry has not been doing well as expected.
The executive director of the Environment Protection Agency spoke about the revised EPA license fees. He called on hotel owners to comply with the Environment Protection Agency by ensuring a healthy and clean environment.
I must say that this is the new direction of government, and the president has said it over and over that we should be here to encourage investors in this country. We should be here to create an enabling environment for all businesses to thrive. The caution here is, and it's a big caveat, we have to take care of the environment, and we have to do it sustainably.
He spoke about the importance of protecting the environment from unfriendly activities, calling on them to stop dumping waste in the open. Acting Director of Tourist Board, Fatmata Abi Osage, said the meeting is in response to the pleas made by hotel owners. She said the ministry has embarked on the cleaning of the beaches to ensure the environment is kept clean.
The initiative of government on agriculture is geared towards full self-sufficiency. According to the Ministry of Agriculture, it is incumbent on all government ministers to own a farm to support the move under the new direction. As a community developer, former flag bearer of the All People's Congress, Dr. Samura Kamara has said in Kamalo that agriculture is the most sustainable economic activity in developing countries, and Sierra Leone is no exemption. Yvette Goldsmith reports.
Agriculture is the hub of every country's economic growth and food self-sufficiency. In Sierra Leone, the attainment of food self-sufficiency remains a national challenge. The country largely practices subsistence agriculture, which is cultivation just for consumption. Before now, Sierra Leone politicians will seek for greener pastures abroad after election, but that trend is now changing as witness few engage in agriculture in the northern part of the country. Dr. Samura Kamara has described his engagement in farming as a way of enhancing the community with a small-scale employment. He started farming in 2004 as a backyard garden by cultivating 35 hectares of palm kernel seedlings. Within the past 3 years, the communities have started harvesting the palm kernel for domestic use. According to Dr. Samura Kamara, one does not wait until politics to help the needy and vulnerable people.
No, it's not politics. I started this, I was in the Ministry of Finance as Financial Secretary. Okay. I never thought of going into politics, mainstream politics. No. You have the intention in you to help the people, to help your people. You don't help your people, you don't wait until politics before you help your people. I don't believe in that dogma.
As a community developer, Dr. Samura Kamara said that agriculture is the most sustainable economical activity in developing countries, and Sierra Leone is not exceptional. He said the farmers are engaged on intercropping of coconut, mango, banana, citrus as a supplementary farmed on a 600 hectares land. Also cultivated are over 5,000 cashew crops, 400 coconut seedlings, and the community provided the labor of mainly women and youths. Currently, Dr. Samura Kamara said he is at the moment planning how to undertake value chain and marketing for the produce. Dr. Samura Kamara said that agriculture brings community together and that over the last 2 months, they have employed about 1,000 farmers. Over the years, Dr. Samura Kamara told SLBC that he has been supporting the people of Pintinkili, Makakoi, Makwoko, and Makari villages who offered the land to him freely with zinc, water wells, VIP latrines, solar panel, and educational materials. Plans are also underway to register the farm as a company and find out for investors so as to expand to create more employment and contribute to economic growth. The farm manager, Ibrahim Touge, said The intercropping is sustainable due to the involvement of women farmers who strongly depend on family farming, and that the cashew seeds are from Sierra Leone. He called on the community farmers to work relentlessly to produce more palm oil. A farmer, Almami Kamara, appreciated the initiative, currently benefiting families.
We produce nut oil and use it to cook. Besides, the palm oil, when produced, help us to take care of our homes and support our children with education.
Yvette Smith, Freetown.
Well, it's time for us to take sports and for that to join Maya Masuma.
Good evening and welcome to Sports Updates on Newsa. I am Mariam Suma. In preparation for the 2018 Under-17 Female West African Football Union WAFU competition, the Secretary General of the West African Football Union WAFU, Jame Bojang, is in the country to inspect stadia in the provinces. Sierra Leone is to host the tournament in November. After the inspections, the WAFU Secretary General presented his findings and recommendations to the public in a press conference held at the Country Lodge in Freetown. Esther Marie Samura went along on a report.
Started in Bo District, where the delegation was received by the Secretary General of the Southern Asian Football Association, Edison Shaka. He led the delegation and they inspected Sahara, Dohas, and Bo Inn hotels, where so many recommendations were made. Secretary General of the West African Football Union is here to inspect the facilities at the Bo Stadium in preparedness of the Under-17 Female Championship. The stadium was thoroughly inspected, and the manager of the stadium, Mohamed Vangau, said some of the facilities at the stadium will be improved. On arrival in Makeni, the chairman of the Northern Region Football Association, Brahma Chalo, also took the delegation to the Conte U and the Usum hotels, and then the Usum field in Makeni. Before the commencement of the tour in Koidu City, the delegation paid a courtesy call to the paramount chief of Nimika Chiefdom, Aya Denton Bona Formasa III, who welcomed the team and expressed happiness that the district will be hosting such an important event. The team inspected the Diamond Lodge Hotel and Koidutan Field. The Secretary General of WAFU has ended the inspection of the Koidu pitch, in which he will be giving his recommendations to the executive of the Sierra Leone Football Association. Presenting his findings to the Football Association, the Secretary General of the West Africa Football Union, Jame Bojang, said all the facilities inspected are good to host the competition.
A hotel room is cheap compared to $120 a hotel room per night in some other countries. The standard room, I mean. These hotels we have inspected here, marvelous. We have to have this tournament here. We are very much delighted with the proposal to draw up a project for Sierra Leone. And this is something that all of us, it's not for me, it is for Sierra Leone, for you call it Mama Salon. Mama Salon. It's for all Mama Salon that we are going to do this tournament. And please, we must come together and portray the positives more. Let's forget about the negatives for now. Let us portray the positives to make sure that we have a very successful tournament in this country.
Aisha Johansen, president of the Sierra Leone Football Association, commended WAFU for allowing Sierra Leone to host the competition and called on all to make use of the opportunity in the interest of the country.
Put Sierra Leone on the map for the right reasons.
Let people hear about Sierra Leone, be it football, be it politics, be it economy, be it tourism. Let the world hear about Sierra Leone. Put her on the platform, on the global platform, for the right reasons. The war people, we are not a bunch of warmongers, coup d'etats, backstabbing. The true Sierra Leoneans will emerge through football come November.
This is the first edition that Sierra Leone is hosting, and it comes at a time when Premier Football is not split and there is serious conflict within the football family. Esther Maisamwa, SLBC TV.
Well, that's it for Sports on News Hour this evening. I am Maria Masuma. Thanks for watching. Over to you, Salmata.
Thank you, Mayema. We continue with one more story and bring news out to a close tonight. As the rainy season continues, some residents of Brookfield's community have expressed dissatisfaction over the deplorable condition of the Sankey Street Bridge that link them with the rest of the Congo Markets community. They said if the bridge is not renovated by the end of this month, they will go through tedious challenges. Our own Joseph Ture visited the bridge.
This bridge, which serves various communities, was constructed over 20 years ago, and since that time, no repairs or renovation has been done. The residents said the bridge is very hazardous, that even a tricycle is not allowed to pass through. The foundation has almost gone and people risk their lives using this Sankey Street Bridge. They expressed their frustration trying to get to the other side of Brookfields. One of the residents, Alusain Kamara, told SLBC that it is very dangerous at night to use the bridge, and in that light they have to put barriers to prevent people from getting injured. One commercial bike rider, Sayo Kuruma, also disclosed that this is affecting their work because the bridge used to be a shortcut for them, making it easier for them to make fast money. He called on the authorities concerned to look into the situation and alleviate their sufferings.
That will be our last news item tonight, and now to news the main points again. President Bio has called on Sierra Leone to protect the country's forest. The mayor of the Kenema City Council has described township roads in the city as swamps, and citizens have complained about expensive internet service in Sierra Leone. And that's all in the news tonight. Thank you so much for watching, and good night.
sir, now Omolanke are the push for get me living. Gade, where I be the buy credit, the credits they done fast. In Ali Fole I use my phone because the top up is so dear. But now I tell God thank you, wait till I talk, now no money the cut.
Enjoy the most affordable tariff bill and at the most transparent way. Talk for 1 second and only pay for that second the way you talk. Salon now we home. And the people them now we fumble. That's make we ready for you on a first class mobile service experience.
Orange. Being away from home could be boring, but not when you are at a place that has not much difference from home. So, if you are interested in a weekend, it might just be this one place in Kenema, Luwawa Resort. At Luwawa Resort, you can find comfortable villas furnished with everything one might need on a weekend getaway, like single and executive suites that are fully air-conditioned, high-standard beds, DSTV with which you don't get to miss your news, movies or football matches. At our bar, you get to relax with chilled drinks of your choice and even keep company with friends and families. Plus, a swimming pool to cool off when it's hot. Make it a date with Luwawa Resort situated at Dima area, Wama Abu Road, Kenema. For booking and reservation, you can call us on 079-533-464 or 099-937-163 or 099-937-437. Luwawa Resort, an ideal place for relaxation and escape from daily routine.
Oh, you're bagging number 10. You can don't beat the number 5. You don't beat the number 2. Face to face and the keeper. Goal! Barry, to God, this is Jackson team. I don't believe Barry Jackson team. Trust me. La no lie, take his own team. Ben, you know what they take? Bomba yogurt. You see bomba yogurt? It will make it drink. It fast. You see it? Lie, I tell you. It get protein. It get vitamin. They make it fierce. Bomba yogurt. It then that coolma we get that chuchaya with the bubble in the ride. The fine one. Never take something. Bomba yogurt.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Seattl's 4G LTE. Buying your Seattle data bundles just got easier. Now you can use the Seattle customer webcare portal to buy data bundle. Whenever you see the screenshot pop up, it means your data is finished. Buy your recharge cards from any Seattle retailer and follow the following steps. Type webcarelt.seattle.sl in any URL, that is Google, Chrome or Internet Explorer. Enter username, password and click login. That is the login credentials shared through email address given during registration. Your customer details and monetary balance can be seen from the home page. Click drop-down menu on your top right-hand corner. Click on My